Maybe don't just sell everything and move here. When I finally did find a vet, they told me she was blind. If you can't handle that, don't retire in Vietnam. I'm Mercy. I'm Australian. I'm a health coach, a metabolic health coach, and I moved to Vietnam about 5 months ago on a one-way ticket. I came last year, so beginning of March last year I had to move out of an apartment in Sydney that I'd been living in for 11 years. They were renovating. I had a really good deal. I knew I wasn't going to find anything remotely as good for that price, so I was kind of looking at moving into the suburbs of Sydney or moving into a shoebox. So I just decided to come and check out Vietnam as a possibility of a long-term thing. Well, actually, I was thinking about going to Thailand, so I had my sights set on Hoi An, and then I saw a YouTube video. I was watching lots of YouTube videos, and I saw a video with this guy, Jack, who'd been living in Thailand, I think, for 6 years, and now he was in Da Nang, and he was talking about how much he preferred Da Nang. And I thought, So I started looking into Da Nang. It was also a city by the sea, like Hoi An. So I decided I'd never been to Vietnam, so that is why I came here. And I had a feeling Vietnam would be my place. I just had never been here. That's how I ended up here. And I came for 3 months last year. I put all my stuff in storage. I got rid of probably 80 or 90% of my stuff. Just decided I was done with all the stuff. Yeah, so it was sort of a trial run last year. Came for 3 months, went back to Australia, did some house sitting, some pet sitting, came back again later in the year, and then bit the bullet in January this year and came for the whole, well, I don't know how long for. This is just, it's all open now. There's just too many things to name about what I love about Vietnam. Like, there's something about the people here. I feel like it is, maybe because it's sort of it's not a young country, it's a really old country. It's young as far as tourism goes, so I feel like the people are not jaded here, but they're also just, they're not like desperately trying to impress the tourists like they seem to be in a lot of other countries. I've traveled a lot in Asia, places like India where, they love you and they, put you up on a pedestal a lot of the time. I feel like that doesn't happen in Vietnam. I started to feel like the people are just normal here. Like, they're not overly interested in me. I can do whatever I want. You can be a bit wacky here. There's so many amazing things about Vietnam, but it's incredibly creative. There's so much diversity in the culture, just incredible creativity with food, and everywhere you go, amazing coffee. It's just all very open, creative. Of course, they're amazingly kind, generous, beautiful people. I feel like no one's ever trying to rip me off. I've never once had a man be sleazy to me. I feel really safe here. It's just a really amazing place. Well, I haven't been to many places, so I'm on my 4th trip now. I came 3 times last year, and my plan, the first time was I was actually going to go to Da Nang, and then I came to Hoi An and decided this was my place. And then the second time I started in Mui Ne. I went to Saigon. I was going to do the same thing, keep moving every 2 weeks. Got stuck in Saigon for 7 weeks, which I love Saigon. And then I went to Vung Tau, which was great. I was there for 2 months as well. I seem to end up in places for like 2 or 3 months. I like kind of settling down and getting to know somewhere.
Yeah.
And now I'm here back in Hoi An again. So Hoi An's my favourite place, to answer that. There's a long way.
And why is that? Why Hoi An?
Hoi An, it has everything. I'm not into, I don't drink anymore. I don't go out at night. So I don't need a place with a nightlife. I don't really need a city. But I do like having people and neighbours and a bit of action. But Hoi An has everything. I'm living in an apartment with rice fields in front of me, but there's also a little crossroads. It's kind of the rice paddy road. And all day there's like different things going past. There's the man with his 4 water buffalo that goes past every morning, and there's people digging in their gardens. So you've got all the rural side, but then you've got the beach, and then you've got Old Town. So you've got like a bit of a city, and it's got everything going for it. It's just beautiful. So it's just got this, amazing blend of everything. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I feel like there's so much character here, and just the beauty of the rice fields. I love that it's flat as well, so you can cycle everywhere. I've been doing crazy things all my life. I've often made big decisions, at the drop of a hat, like, I'm going to go and do this. And I never look back. I never regret it. It always works out. So, yeah, no, I think a lot of people wish it was them. I've got a lot of friends who, but they're younger than me, and they've still, they've got families and responsibilities. I'm at a different stage in my life. Monthly spending. Well, my rent in Australia, when I tell people how much rent I pay in Australia, that was low. I was paying 600 Australian dollars a week, which is like 400 US. And then probably, like 4,000 or 5,000 Australian dollars a month. There is no comparison. So much cheaper here. I did a little video the other day where I kind of calculated my shopping bill, and I made a reel about it, and so many people going, oh my God, that's so cheap. Yeah, life is so much more affordable here, and it means you can afford things that you can't afford back home. Like you can get a massage every week or once a fortnight, whereas in Australia that's something I would probably do once every 2 or 3 months. So, and I never used to get my nails done in Australia because that's stupidly expensive. So yeah, in that sense, you probably spend more on some things because they're things that you wouldn't have even done back home. So yeah, it's ridiculous. And my vet bill was, it's ridiculous how cheap it is. Medical things and vet bills, it's a fraction. It's probably like a quarter or an eighth of the price. There's no comparison. There's so many different aspects to that. I think in Australia, one of the biggest things that dragged me down was just all the admin, jumping through hoops. I don't have a mailbox. My phone never rings. I hardly even lock my door here. At home, there's just all these little things that you're constantly having to worry about. But, that's the main thing for me. It's just the freedom in my head. Also, another huge one is just not having all the stuff. Having downsized, having a small space, and everything I own is in this little space, and it's so easy to tidy up. It takes me 5 minutes to tidy. I haven't got all these things I'm looking at going, why do I have this, and what am I going to do with that? So in that way, it's huge. I don't have health insurance. I don't even have any insurance. I tend to, touch wood, not have any health issues. So, yeah, no, I haven't had to, I don't think I've even been to a pharmacy the whole time I've been here, so.
Good for you.
Yeah. Oh, I did have a DEXA scan last year.
Oh, okay.
And a body composition scan, which I think somehow they treat them as 2 separate things. I think normally in the West, maybe it's one thing, the DEXA and body composition, but they were treated as 2 different things. I didn't pay for the consultation afterwards. I got AI to interpret it for me, and I think it cost about 100 Australian dollars, maybe 60. I can't really remember, but yeah, that's the only thing I've had.
And would you know how much that would cost in Australia? Or would that be covered by insurance?
No, it wouldn't be covered. It might be covered for people who have the highest level of insurance, or if if you have to have it, maybe. Yeah, like if you needed a bone density scan, maybe the government would pay for that if you needed it, I don't think they would have paid for me, because probably a couple of $100, I'm guessing. Yeah, I've only heard good things. I mean, the hospital where I got the MRI, the DEXA scan, Vinmec, is great, has a great reputation. I've watched a few YouTube videos. I have spoken to people who've had things done. Yeah, by all accounts, it's fantastic. I mean, I think maybe if you were in smaller areas, maybe not, you know. I mean, that's been my experience with my kitten, who I was told was going to be blind forever by the vets in Vung Tau, but then my vet in Da Nang has given me much more comprehensive information. So I think probably in the bigger places, Da Nang, Saigon, Hanoi, I'm not really sure about elsewhere, but yeah, I think this is a great place for health. Well, I'm hopeless with routine, so I have no idea. Like, that's kind of why one of the things I love about here is you don't have to kind of plan anything or stick to any schedule. I love getting up really early. I do wake up very early, like usually before 5 in the morning. There's about 50 roosters that wake me up, and a kitten. So some days I go out really early on the bike, the sunrise, and I go down to the beach and have a swim early, and then I often just don't know what I'm going to do, and I might be out for hours, or I might come home. And I do spend a lot of time at home because I'm working on my little things, so I'm always doing stuff on Instagram and stuff on my YouTube channel. I've started cooking for myself again now that I've got a really nice kitchen. So I'll go to the markets. I've got a bicycle, so I go everywhere on the bike. Sometimes I make coffee at home, sometimes I go for coffee in a cafe. I've got a really lovely place. I hang out at the beach that has lounges up the top and then lounges on the sand, so I can sometimes go there with my laptop and end up spending the whole day there. There isn't really such thing as a typical day, but and then I'll do some exercise, some description in the middle of all that. I think probably the people. They're always incredibly helpful and kind and generous, but they're also, yeah, like I said before, they're not trying to impress. They're not overly interested in what you're doing. I guess that's probably the biggest surprise, is just how, you know, they can feel a little blasé. Like when I was in Vung Tau, I was staying in a huge condo called The Song, and a lot of Vietnamese people would come from Saigon for the weekend, and you'd be in this lift with all the Vietnamese, and they just weren't that interested in you, you know, which I like, because in Asia you're kind of used to getting either special treatment or just people being a bit interested, and it's not like that here. That they don't have loose tea. I can't find loose tea anywhere, like just normal loose black tea. You have to use tea bags. But no, not really. Been able to do everything, find everything. Yeah. Start getting rid of your stuff, because that was a nightmare for me when I went back to Australia last year. I'd gotten rid of most of it, but there was still stuff that I didn't need, and when I was back in Australia I spent the whole time just kind of trying to get rid of more. But also I think maybe don't make the move in one big go. I think the way I did it was good. You know, I came on a practice run, I came back again later in the year. You know, I got a feel for the place, and I think that's kind of a good way to do it. Maybe don't just sell everything and move here until you've actually spent some time here, until you've figured out where you like to be. Other than that, I'd say just do it. I haven't heard many people say they didn't like Vietnam. That's interesting. I'm actually thinking, so I'm going to do a retreat here next year because my video that went viral was basically me saying that I was coming to Vietnam on a one-way ticket at 63. It went viral on TikTok, and then 4 days later it went viral on Instagram, same video. So I've had so many people, and I'm still getting comments 5 months later going, oh wow, you're so brave. I could never do that. A lot of people ask, what about the heat? So yeah, basically I'm going to do a retreat for people who would either want to retire here, but they feel like they're not quite ready to make that decision by themselves, or people that are a little afraid of traveling on their own still. So this is a long way to answer your question, to say, if you don't like the heat, don't retire in Vietnam. If you don't like humidity, forget about it, because, you know, it's a fact of life. If you want everything to be perfect, if you can't handle a power cut or the water being turned off sometimes, or things not being, you know, pristine, and like the roads are a little bit wonky in some places. If you can't handle that, don't retire in Vietnam. You've got to be able to handle a bit of uncertainty, and you need to have trust. I think that's the big one for me. You've got to kind of trust that things aren't going to go as smoothly as you might like, but they will work out. So that's how I live my life. And I think people, if you like to know everything's going to be fine, then it might not be the best place to come. But if you like variety and freedom and nature and amazing food, then I think, you know, Vietnam's perfect. It's the freedom factor, really, for me. I feel really free here. Hiya.
So may you introduce this little...
This is Miracle, my little Miracle.
And how did you find Miracle?
Miracle was just flat on her stomach on the ground. One night I was walking near my apartment in Vung Tau, and I found her. She was like that big. I just saw her on the ground. It was a kind of dark patch of broken up ground, and I realized it was a kitten, and I picked her up, and I didn't know if she was alive. She was just, I would say, barely alive. So I took her up into my apartment, and I fed her like from my fingernail. It was kind of 7 o'clock at night. There was nowhere to take her. So I thought she was probably going to die, and I thought I would probably just take her to the vet and drop her off. So yeah, in Australia, if you find an injured animal, you can take them to the vet. So I thought I was probably going to take her to the vet. And the next day I tried to take her to a vet. I went to a pet shop, and then there was no vet there, and I just was trying to keep her alive. So it wasn't until day 3 that I finally found a vet. And by that stage, her eyes because her eyes were closed when I found her. I thought she was a newborn. Turns out she was actually about 3 weeks old. Her eyes opened, and then one of them ruptured, so she suddenly had this big, like, globe that had ruptured. And yeah, so when I finally did find a vet, they told me she was blind, and I was suddenly in charge of a blind kitten. So she's about probably 9 weeks old now. I was not planning on having a kitten. She just basically took over my life. And yeah, I had one day where I was just like, oh my God, this is not why I came to Vietnam. Like suddenly all my freedom was gone. But I've just, gone with it. Yeah, and then I found this place called Vietnam Cat Welfare, which is in Hoi An, and I got in touch with Emma, who runs that. It's a big cat rescue. She's got Jack's Cafe that has 106 cats at the moment. And she told me there's a great vet in Da Nang, so that's how we ended up here. We came on the train from Vung Tau overnight, and last week we finally went to the vet, and he looked at her and he said, because the other thing was, everyone's been saying she's going to have the ruptured eye out when she's older. So, yeah, so I knew that I thought she was probably going to have an operation. You can see this right eye here. Kind of looks a bit sunken. And then this eye here, that is apparently the cats have a third eyelid, and that has become fused with the cornea. So it's a membrane, and the vet said that they're going to be able to operate and have it removed. So she'll probably be able to see. She can see a tiny bit now. She's starting to see through that.
They are very narrow.
And but yeah, she's gorgeous, and her name is Miracle, and she is a little miracle. And I'm going to make a YouTube series about her. And she loves going to the beach. She's gotten really, good at. I've got her little house. And she comes with me on the back of the bike. She loves going to the beach. She's very good out and about. She's very well behaved. So yeah, I'm going to see if she wants to have some adventures. We might do some cycling trips together, or I'm not really sure, but yeah, well, the story of Miracle is all on my Instagram. I've actually got a highlight called Miracle, so all the stories right back to the beginning, because I didn't know. I didn't think I was still going to have her at this point. So yeah, you can find all the Miracle stuff on Instagram, and I'm going to make a series on YouTube, and I've got a few videos on YouTube as well. So the link, I guess, will be in the description. I'm a metabolic health coach. I started coaching probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was a ketogenic health coach, and then I kind of decided to call myself a metabolic health coach because, essentially what I teach is a low-carb approach. Most people who come to me are trying to lose weight. That's usually the main thing, but there's also all the other things that go along with metabolic health, like low energy, brain fog, afternoon crashes, bloating, digestive issues, mental health, depression, anxiety. Like, metabolic health really impacts absolutely everything.
Thank you. And thank you, Miracle. It's a miracle.